Well, good morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema here with Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers at John L. Scott, Southern Oregon, and we are so happy to have you join us for another episode of the Real Estate Show. So, Pete, tell us a little bit about how your week went this week.
Well, there was rain for the first time in April. Did you know? Did you know? And
Yay!
we're supposed to have rain today and tomorrow. That would be great if we do, because we certainly do need it. We all talk about water. We're going to talk about more and more about that. Is it affecting real estate? What's going to happen with it? But I'm telling you, Alice, the real estate market continues to really perform well in our region. Prices are rising. We're the highest they've risen since 2006. So just be aware of these things. If you're out there, listings come up and they go out very fast. You got to be prepared on all those things. So we've been talking about with our listeners and viewers for months and months now about this and what the market is doing. So anyway, well, today actually, which is going to be an interesting show, Kimberly London from the city of Medford's building department is going to join us, Alice, and she's been on before with us, and we've talked to her about. She's kind of like got the pulse of what's happening in terms of permits and where are we going in terms of what are people doing? What are they doing with their time? In the year of the COVID. So we're going to get an update from her, and I can't wait to hear what she's got to say, because there's so much activity. Medford is the center of this whole region, and therefore they're always the first to experience things. So if their commercial activity is good, it's going to spread out. If their housing activity is good, it's going to spread out. So we're going to see what they've done in the year of the COVID within the Medford building department area. It's going to be fascinating to see what she has to say.
Yeah, because, I think it was just a year ago, we interviewed Kimberly at the City of Medford Building Department, and we were all just recently shut down. And it was a very interesting conversation. We really didn't know what was going to happen. And now we're slowly opening back up, but we've had the fires since then. And, the world is different. So it will be a very interesting conversation to see what she has to say. It'll also be good to hear some of the stat information that you bring to us every week. We're looking forward to hear about that.
Yeah, well, March, April, May, those three busiest real estate months of the year is playing out again. It's very busy and a lot going on, and we're going to hear a good update today. And again, if you need a permit or you know anything about permitting, you need to listen to what Kimberly has to say, because she has all the knowledge about permitting what is and is not needed for you.
Yep, because you know what? You cannot just go move your home office into your garage. You have to have a permit. I did not know that. So
already.
Yep. So stay tuned. We have a great show for you today. We're brought to you by John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon, Guy Giles of Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, and the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Do not touch that dial. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. I'm Alice Lema here with my co-host, Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers at John L. Scott in Southern Oregon, and we're so excited today to welcome Kimberly London. She's a development specialist, a development services specialist with the City of Medford Building Department, one of my favorite departments. Welcome, Kimberly. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I am happy to be on the show.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year since last time Pete and I talked to you. Is the front counter open for the public?
Yeah, the annex is still closed to the public. We have been electronic for review since 2016, so it really hasn't changed the way we do business. Everything's electronic anyway, but it is always nice to have that human interaction. Appointment only at this time.
And I remember seeing on your website that there's a limit to how many people can be in your in person in your area. Is that right?
That's correct. And it hasn't been an issue so far. It's worked out well. We have big conference rooms, big meeting rooms, and whatever we need to do to keep going, we'll do.
Kimberly, it's always nice to visit with you. Tell people when am I going to want to come and see you? Because if I'm in Medford, there's a lot of times I don't know where to go. When I'm trying to do something in my home, or if I'm thinking about building or whatever. So tell people, what are the times, what do we come to see you for?
Since we're still closed to the public, it makes it kind of hard to come in and visit us. But the city of Medford just launched a brand new website that has all sorts of links. It's user-friendly. We're still working on it, but it's really working well. Most people have been either calling or emailing us, and we just do what we need to do. If someone, is a homeowner, doesn't use email, just needs some help, then we'll meet you downstairs and you'll come up and we'll conduct business as usual.
What are some of those things? I mean, why would I need your services if I'm doing something? What is that about?
Well, a permit, like say you want to enclose your garage to a bedroom and something that needs permits and plans, and you don't use a computer, or you want to print out the guidelines for submittal, and the application is fillable online, but you don't want to do that. There are some people that don't want to, and that's fine. We can meet you downstairs and give you the paperwork, hard copies. Everything does still have to run electronic. Builders Exchange and Pacific Survey have been very good at helping customers, individuals, and even contractors upload plans and applications and stuff that's needed. They have access to our website.
Yeah, and were you busy this last year? Tell us what went on in your department, because Alice and I, now it's over a year ago, when COVID first came, we thought everything was going to go, down like this, and instead it went up like this. And I'm curious as to what would have happened within the city of Medford in the area of this building development during that year.
Well, it's funny you should ask. We just pulled some statistics. We average 60 permits a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it hasn't slowed down. We are still, we're closed, but we are still completely functioning, running, inspecting, doing the best customer service we can. Our forms are also available on the website. If you just need a simple electrical permit, mechanical permit, plumbing permit, you can fill that out and either email it to us or bring it in. The city of Medford has a new website though. So it's www.medfordoregon.gov. So everyone's used to their old favorites and links, but please, in the future, it's www.medfordoregon.gov.
So Kimberly, with all those permits that you talked about that were pulled, would you guess or estimate that most of those were either new construction permits, or were they remodeling permits that people were doing during the pandemic? Because Home Depot and Blackbird, all those places had huge businesses that year. So did the permitting follow that same thing, or what is your impression of that?
Sure. You're walking around your house, working from home, seeing all these things that you wanted to get done, but now they're bugging you because you have to look at them every day. A lot of homeowner remodels, a lot of commercial remodeling occurring. Hospital, as usual, is just up and running constantly. Last month in March, we had 19 new house permits applied for. That's not great, but that's not bad. That's about average. Commercial is still just going through the roof. It's awesome.
Alice, why would permitting for commercial within the city of Medford? That makes sense. Alice, why do you think that is?
I think there's a longer process for commercials. So I'm wondering, Kimberly, are these projects that were started a while ago?
No, like I said, at the hospital, Asante, they drive down Barnett. There is so many different projects,
right.
Models, upgrades going on. The schools, with them being shut down, it's a perfect time to get the stuff done that you've been wanting to do, instead of just rush during the summer or spring break months. And even retail stores, new businesses coming in, moving into different locations and doing tenant improvements. Of course, the marijuana is keeping us busy.
Yeah, I was wondering, are some of those for warehouses? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even like some of the businesses that were affected by the fires, they're moving into the city of Medford, and we're doing everything that we can do to accommodate them and get them up and running and continuing with business and still following proper protocol.
That's fabulous. That's absolutely fabulous. And that was one of the questions Pete and I had, was how much of the fire impact was bringing work for you guys in the city of Medford?
Well, none of the fires affected city of Medford directly. We didn't have any, it just kind of stopped at the US Cellular property line and boundary, and that was it. But we have been getting the home construction, not so much, commercial, quite a bit, people coming in and trying to continue doing business. And as I said, we're going to, do the best we can to accommodate them and get them back in business as soon as possible. Residential, there's a SDC deferral program if people want to build an ADU, which also goes along with the affordable housing. That is on the planning website. It's a phenomenal grant that's available and pays pretty much half of your permit fees. Yeah.
Since you brought that up, because we've talked about this before on the show, I think that the city of Medford's decision to do this, to allow additional dwelling units with the plans that you have, I think you have 4 different styles of plans that people can use, and no systems development charges with an additional dwelling unit. Now, I think that is probably, of all the years of doing this, is one of the most significant things that would improve housing in the city of Medford with one fell swoop. That is such a needed addition, which is kind of smaller units. I think it's great. Have you had many applications? Have you had any applications or interest in it since it's been announced?
Not the pre-built plans, but the SDC reduction program is a big hit. And even people that want to do a guest house or they want to add bedrooms, we let them know about that program available. What is your true intended use? What do you really want to do? Because this program's available that may be able to bring your dream to fruition. So we've been telling people about it, but the state has always had readily available plans for garages, carports, decks. So Building Codes Division has plans for smaller projects that they have that you could submit as built plans that meet the building code, not for an ADU, and that we have that now, so that's fabulous. But there's stuff available. Give us a call, email us, and we'll try to accommodate.
Well, and you know what's wonderful? Oh, sorry, Pete, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, it's wonderful is the city of Medford, you guys answer the phone. And if you can't answer the phone, you get a phone call back. And I think it's kind of a surprise to people, especially when they come from bigger urban areas, that the website, and I've been on that new website, it is the bomb.
Yes, it is. And no, we do answer all of our calls. A lot of people don't like leaving a message, but leave a message. Have a little faith in us. You will get a call back.
Yeah. And your answers are always spot on. One of the things that I thought was really great about the website was the ability to go back and look at your old permits online and bring those forward and reapply or reinstate or ask questions. The corona was really hard on a lot of us here in Southern Oregon, but I think the city of Medford, you guys just did a bang up job about staying open and helping people.
Yeah, you can't shut down. It's business as usual. We are doing some video inspections depending on the caliber of the project. And that's between the inspector and the customer.
What does that mean, a video inspection?
Yeah, where if you replace a water heater in your home or, a heating and air system or something minimal, and you don't feel comfortable with the inspector in your home, they can do a virtual or video inspection.
Wow.
I mean, whatever it takes, to get it done.
So is that like a FaceTime, or like logistically, how does that work?
It could be a FaceTime, or sometimes, depending on what it is, the contractor will take pictures. He'll email them to the inspector, and the inspector will say, okay, take 2 more pictures and email them to me. And then we upload them to that permit so that we have the documentation. and it's logged that it was a video inspection.
Wow.
Not as many, but it is an option if it's needed. Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's probably not for new construction though. That's just for like minor repairs.
For the most part, yeah, it's just little retrofits would work for that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is so cool.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
I bet
I
your
like it.
inspectors like it too, because it's pretty quick.
Yes. Yeah. And then
Oh, go ahead.
no, we still see what's going on and it's logged and everybody's happy.
So that's a permanent record then.
Yes, it would be a permanent record. So if you do a public records request on our website, we would be able to pull records from 1961 to current. And again, you went online and you saw our program. That's from 96 to current for permit history. It doesn't quite have everything I want, but it's there.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you know about that, Pete? Did you know about video inspections?
Yes, and I personally don't agree with video inspections.
Oh.
And the reason I say that, I mean, no, they're fine. The reason I don't personally like them to use them is that I think that the inspectors see other things while they're there, in that I like having eyes on the ground more so than video, but I understand why they do it and everything, and it's fine. I just like to have persons on the ground mostly looking, and we can talk about that in our next segment about, when do I need a permit, and how do I go about getting these permits? When do I need it? When do I not need it? Because that's a big question that so many people, what we found out here is that so many people are remodeling, doing remodels and pulling permits for those. That's great.
Well, we've got a break coming up. We're chatting with Kimberly London, Development Services Specialist, City of Medford Building Department, one of our favorite guests. Pete and I will be right back after these quick messages. We're brought to you today by our local Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Do not touch that dial. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. Alice Lema here with Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers at John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon. And we'd like to say a special thank you to our local sponsors, the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, bringing us to episode today with Kimberly London, who is a development services specialist at the City of Medford Building Department, somebody who just is a wealth of information and inspiration. And we were talking just before the break about permits. And so, Kimberly, how about we just talk a little bit about when you really need a permit, when it's important?
Right. We actually, with the new launch of our website, the City of Medford's website, there is a section under Find It Fast that says, when do I need a permit? And we actually broke it out a little bit for simple things: when a permit's needed, do I need a permit? If you're not sure, you can always email us. I like email because then you're getting back a response, and it's not like a phone call where you get too much information and you're like, what did she say? Or I don't remember. You can refer back to the email and go, oh, okay. No, she did answer that. She didn't answer that. Let's get together again. But I just wanted to quickly share, some of the hotels downtown are being converted to housing for the fire victims. We have 2 or 3 of them right now that we're working on to help with the fire victims. We were talking about that earlier, and I hadn't mentioned that, and I wanted to.
So how is that? Oh, go ahead.
Right there. You talk about housing, and I've read now a number of places, and it's happening not only in Medford, but it's also happening in Klamath Falls. I know it's happening also in Roseburg. Is that old motels are converted into extended stay apartments, which are over 30 days. We're seeing that right now down in the old, the old Red Line. What was it? The old place downtown Medford.
Yeah.
A lot. What it was called, the Inn of the Commons. I'm sorry, the Inn of the Commons.
Yeah.
You're seeing that here. You're seeing it around. That seems to me that's also pretty good housing. Do you see that coming more and more? Is that how do you deal that with building permits and making sure that they're supposed to be as good housing as we have? Do you see that as a coming thing, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, we have a couple others. I believe the American Value Inn and the Redwood Inn are also working on conversion to a more affordable housing for people other than the red line DoubleTree. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's okay. I mean, it's already used for an R occupancy. It's continuing the use. Some of them already have kitchenettes and little, stovetops and stuff. Bathrooms, some of them have to be upgraded to handicap, which still works. There's always usually lower levels.
So do each of those units have a kitchen?
They will.
They will.
Most of them will. A small, kitchenette studio. I kind of picture the old school, 50s all and cabinet, but I'm sure that's not what they're doing. That's just where my mind's going. Yeah.
It would be like renting an apartment but doesn't have a kitchen. So you have, for extended stay, so you have to have some sort of a kitchen in those units. Well, I see them happening. I wonder how many do you think units that would make up, Kimberly, in the right now, just those three places? That's like what, 150, 200 units?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least 100. So that's nice. I don't have the exact number. I have one applied for, but I don't have the plans yet to get it. It's 31 units. I believe it's at the Redwood Inn.
Okay. I wonder what, Alice, do you know what those rent for?
I was wondering who pays the rent, but how is the rent decided?
I don't know that logistic of it.
But
yeah.
Go ahead. We get so excited.
People pay rent on it. This is not just fire victims for these people. This is housing for single people who, Alice, we've talked about, who need small housing, the small, tiny housing. I see people moving into these things. And they're very capable of paying those rents there. A lot of them. Things like that. But so it's not just some, just fire victims. It seems to me this is going to be a whole new trend. We're going to see these housings because those old motels and things are really not needed. So turning them into that, and what happens, Alice, is that the city then can't charge the rent fee because they're over 30 days. That's the difference.
It's a win-win situation.
Yeah. And it seems like those units are getting online pretty fast. When I drive by the old Inn at the Commons, it used to be the Red Lion for us old timers. It looks like people are living there already. Is that, you already got people moved in?
I am not sure the status on that one. So yeah.
It's also still it's also still being used as a motel a little bit. So just keep in mind.
Okay, yeah. And so were there zoning changes needed? Because you have to go through some kind of a process, don't you, to take a motel or hotel into kind of a residential extended stay situation, or do you? What's involved?
You do. From the building code aspect, we have, of course, our handy accessibility and fire rating and door widths and just little things, and then they're adding the kitchenettes and the stoves and, hood systems and stuff like that. The zoning, to me, it's pretty much the same use. I don't know if they had to go through any types of zone changes with our planning department or not.
Well, it's very exciting, very creative. Medford again, progressive.
Yeah.
Progressive in housing.
Yes, yeah. But we're having a job fair this Saturday here at City Hall from 1 to 4. And so there's quite a few positions open right now at the City of Medford. If people want to go online to the website and take a look at that, building department will have a booth out there as part of the community development team, planning and public works. It's from 1 to 4. There's going to be all sorts of stuff going on.
And where is that?
It's right here at City Hall, 411 West 8th Street.
Okay, so how do you do that with the COVID protocols?
Well, you wear your mask and wear your mask.
And are you social distancing and all that?
Okay. Yep. Tables set up and.
Kimberly, why would the city of Medford need to do that for hiring? I would think that city jobs are like, the really plum kinds of jobs that people would really want. Are you experiencing the same thing that every other private business that I talk to from here to Medford to Klamath and around that can't find help? So I was really surprised that the city would not have just tons of people applying for jobs.
Well, the building department has one position. We have a position open now, but it's a plan reviewer, and you need to have your credentials and your certifications and quite a few different things. It's not an entry level position. So we've reached out to the different, associations that are available. I can't really speak to the other positions. Of course, summer's coming, so Parks and Rec and our Public Works Department have a lot of temporary and part-time jobs open. So those are available, with the swimming pools and aquatics and the traffic counting. And so there's quite a few entry-level positions open also.
And one of the best parts about Medford is that you've got water out of Big Butte. Well, many communities and people on wells and everything are just going to be suffering this year. That's one of the blessings to live in Medford, right? Is that fabulous, amazing water source that will keep grass green and trees watered and people and everything. It's amazing, and we're going to certainly be talking a lot more about that as the few months ahead about water.
Yes, water. Speaking of which, if you're doing irrigation, you do need a permit for the backflow device, not so much your piping and sprinklers and stuff that you're putting in, but you need to put in a backflow device to protect the water source. That requires a permit and a test from a private third party to confirm the device itself is functioning properly. And then we'll look at your install to make sure that it meets minimum codes.
And that's for in-town, rural, what part of the valley are we?
That's covered under the Medford Water Commission's district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good to know.
And it makes sense. We need to protect our water source.
Yeah, because if you don't have a backflow device installed, what happens?
Well, if there's a power outage or a malfunction or something, it could back into the drinking water. Your home's going to get hit first because you're the one that's lacking the system. Not that anything's going to happen. We have fabulous water quality here in Medford, but let's keep it that way.
Right. And then how do you get a backflow installed? Do you have to call a plumber, or is there a city person you have to hire?
There isn't a city person. A lot of homeowners do it themselves. There's a fabulous guideline instructional manual that the Medford Water Commission has that tells you the approved devices, how to install them. The permit is $67.20, and you could fill out the plumbing permit application online. Plumbers can install them. Most landscaping companies do. There's a plus backflow on their state landscape construction license that they have to install it, but any plumber can, most landscapers can, or homeowners do it themselves. The 6720 gives you 3 inspections. We can't advise you on how to install it, but if something's wrong the first time, we're going to say, hey, you need to fix this and this. Usually it's a clearance issue. People put rock in the bottom of their box, and you have to have a foot clearance underneath it for maintenance.
Oh, a full 12 inches. Yeah, I bet that happens a lot.
They fill them up with rock because it looks better and it better, and then we make you pull it all back out. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, well, it's not a super big area, but yeah.
It's enough after you just did it. Yeah. But we have Building Safety Month coming up in May. It's our 41st. Annual Building Safety Month.
Wow.
And we're offering all sorts of things. Everyone that applies for a permit in May will be entered into a drawing for a disaster relief kit. So first week of June, we're going to pull all the permit numbers, not the people's names, the permit numbers, and just have a random person select one of the permit numbers.
How fun.
Yeah. So then that way it's, transparent, and works. We're also going to give away 3 photovoltaic solar permits for residential. So if you're thinking about doing a photovoltaic system, solar system on your rooftop, there's going to be a few free permits available there. We're also offering, which is really good, we have quite a few pool permits that have been expired for years and years. And
Swimming
pool
pool?
safety, yes, swimming pools. The barriers, we're offering reinstatement of those permits for final inspections for the whole month at no charge.
Wow, that is so fun. That
Mhm.
is so fun.
Yeah,
So
your permit
actually-
expired, we'll just go back out there. No questions asked. Of course, if there's corrections, you need to make them, but you want to be safe also.
Well, we've got a break coming up. We can just talk forever with Kimberly London, the City of Medford Building Department. She's a Development Services Specialist. And Pete Belcastro and I, Alice Lema, brokers at John L. Scott, will be right back after a word from our sponsors. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. Alice Lema, Pete Belcastro, we're both brokers at John L. Scott. Welcome back on this Saturday morning in lovely Southern Oregon, even though it's a little bit dreary. We're going to be finishing up talking with Kimberly London, the City of Medford Building Department. But first, we want to check in on some of the weekly stats. Pete, why don't you bring us up to speed about what happened this week?
Well, this week was crazy. Before I do that, I just wanted to Kimberly said something earlier that I thought was so interesting, that the way the permitting went in the COVID year just followed what I think we all thought was happening and did happen. So many remodelings taking place. People were staying home. They were spending money doing that. And that, which I think as you relates down, as you trickle that down, is really why we've had so few listings to go, because so many people were involved in doing those very things that you talked about, Kimberly, and confirmed today that that's what happened during the year. There was a lot of that took place. So that's interesting. So that has affected the way the real estate market has gone, because we have been complaining, we've been talking about such low amounts of listings. I mean, a year ago, there was like 600, and today there's, 250, things like that. So it's really changed a lot. And the market, though, is continuing to perform really well. Last week in Jackson County, they had over 107 pending sales, which is really high, along with 75 new closed sales. The issue is that the listings that we compare week after week, they were down about 20 from the previous week. So we still have not overcome that, what you talked about earlier, I think, in permitting, what people did during the COVID year in terms of getting those listings back on. They're still not, they're there, they're coming on, but they're being, scooped up. They're being sold as fast as they come on, especially anything below 500,000.
Yeah.
And that's been fixed up, that smells good and looks good.
And it's got to be move-in ready, because people are paying a premium price. This year so far in 2021, I just saw this stat that we've had the highest rise in home prices since 2006. So, there's all this happening in the market, but, we still are a wonderful place in that we're out there. I think it's going to be an interesting year, Alice. We talk about no water, less irrigation, things like that. It's still going to affect the market. But again, when Kimberly's involved, it really doesn't, because Medford's not affected by this. And so that's why maybe we're seeing so much activity in building permitting going on in construction, not only in housing, but in the commercial side as well. I think that's really interesting, what's taking place around our valley right now.
Well, and I think it's really encouraging, Kimberly, that we have some health in our commercial market, because a lot of us were so worried during the shutdowns that we were going to lose a lot of our commercial landlords, tenants, businesses. So when people come to you to do a building or to do a revision of a building in the commercial department, what would you say is the most common permit or change that they're making?
A lot of them are existing tenants that are just freshening up. They had a big conference room and now they need additional, office space, or, just facelifts. A lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily even need permits, or even some of the businesses that had expanded or didn't quite need as much space as they had are getting permits to, like, reduce their square footage. Landlords are working with people, if they still want to stay, they still want to maintain their location and their business. We'll just divide it down into a smaller suite. And then that'll allow someone else that wants to start up a business or conduct business that doesn't need a lot of square footage to have a space also, or sharing space. There's nothing wrong with sharing space either.
Everything's changed, and I can see your point there about the commercial side doing the same thing a lot of housing did. They remodel. A smart landlord's going to take this time and remodel to work with your tenant and remodel, because every business has changed literally the way we do business today. And so see that happening all over, and Medford is so large, you really see that on a grander scale than you do in smaller towns. But that makes perfect sense. I don't think that's going to stop. I think that's going to continue for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely. I don't see it slowing down either. There's still a lot of new construction. We still have many storage facilities and buildings going in. Commercial warehouses are still being installed. And then even commercial businesses are doing upgrades, like paving additional parking lot areas, or, resurfacing and stuff that has been on the back burner, but they, it's time to do it. Let's just get it done. Even use signage.
Yeah. Well, Medford is protected with this. The citizens in Medford are protected with all of this. Those outside, especially the agriculture community, which is such an economic force there. What are the vineyards, the impact of again, with no waters, what's the impact going to be on all of this in the future here? Because it's going to be a very different summer. And anyway, but you bring so much to the table. I would just say one thing, and then I'll be quiet. If anybody out there has questions regarding what you need to do for a permit, if you just have questions, if you're thinking about it, whether you live in Medford or not, and I say that even though you're in Medford, is to call you and talk to you, because I know nobody who can explain it and tell people what they need, Kimberly, better than you. And I applaud you for that, because you know all those rules. How you do, I don't know. But you're the person to go to, and I really appreciate all that you do. I know a lot of people you work with and do appreciate that same thing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's why the job fair, if you're looking to work for the city of Medford, I've been here for almost 23 years. It is a great place to work.
Yeah.
And I enjoy my job, and I'm glad it shows. So we are still closed to the public. I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of that. We do still have people showing up, and the doors are locked, and then they have to call. We do try to accommodate as much as possible, but people are still working from home also. So
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. Sometimes people just are not available to come down and meet in person. Make an appointment. Email us, building@cityofmedford.org. Give us a call, 774-2350. And we'll assist you the best we can. Absolutely.
So can you give that email and phone number again?
Sure. So the City of Medford's website has changed. It's now www.medfordoregon.gov. That's the one you want to save to your favorites. That's the new City of Medford website. Building department is building@cityofmedford.org. And then this building department's phone number is 541-774-2350. We also have drop boxes outside. There's drop boxes outside the annex parking lot entrance for people that still want to come down and pay via check. Absolutely doable.
Do you have online payments on the new website?
We do have online payments on the city's website. Yeah, Visa or MasterCard. Absolutely. We've had that for quite a while, actually.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, Kimberly, we're definitely going to have you on again. We just love talking to you. Kimberly London, City of Medford Building Department. She's Development Services Specialist. We thank you so very much. Pete and I very much appreciate not only taking the time to be on here, but also the job that you guys do down there. And you're also very nice. I've had to come in and talk to you on behalf of clients, and you're one of the people that not only knows her stuff, but you know, I never feel dumb when I ask a question. I always walk away knowing more, and helping, you know, helps the rest of us to be better service to the public. So we're going to wrap up for now, folks. Alice Lema, Pete Belcastro, thanks again to John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon for sponsoring us, Guy Giles, Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, and the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Bye now.
Bye-bye.